Hi, I'm Terry Brock with terrybrock.com, and I want to talk with you about a book that I just read that you really ought to look into. It's one of the most inspirational books I have seen in a long time. It's written by my buddy Chad Hymas, and he calls it Doing What Must Be Done. Even limitations can be used to make life better. Now, this is a book that's about motivation, but it's really about living life practically, how to overcome the challenges that you face. Now, we think we have challenges. Oh my, I couldn't get an upgrade, or oh gee, I was stuck at a light a little bit longer. That's nothing. My buddy Chad Hymas in his book relates his story of how matter of fact, why don't we just kind of walk through the book here? I want to take you on a little tour as I go through the book here on my Amazon Kindle. So I'm going to go through this on my Amazon Kindle here on my computer. You'll be able to see how it is as we walk through this. He talks about some of the different things that are available, and in his introduction, I think it's important, from his father, Kelly Hymas, who relates the real world of what happened and what it's like. It's one of the things I loved about the book is as he went through here, he talked about what really happened, his accident that made him a quadriplegic, an accident that he had when he was working at the life mission that he had, the things that he wanted to do, raising elk, that he had worked so hard to make that happen, and then an accident that happened in a split second changed his life forever. And he talks about how it affected him and his family. I love the way that he puts this together when he puts the story together here. It starts here in chapter 1, 6:30 p.m. Tuesday, April 3rd, 2001. A delicate spring evening, lush, irrigated alfalfa fields form vibrant green islands amidst an ocean of alpine playa and sagebrush. Is that playa or playa? I don't know. But I love the way he writes this. And he talks about the story of what happened. And believe me, this is something that will affect you as you read it emotionally. But it's important. It's important to understand that and go through it as you see it. Then he talks about what happened. And I love his quote here. Today is the last day of the first of your life. And so that's what happens sometimes. We have those moments that will change our lives profoundly. And Chad relates what happened to him as he goes through this. His wife, Shondell, he calls an angel, and she is. She is an angel that helped him through it. And she wrote about this in chapter 3, what happened and what it was like. I love the way she says here, it was April 2nd, 7 years and 2 children into our marriage. We don't speak to one another for 3 hours. It is a typical husband and wife disagreement. Husband is wrong, wife is right. And he talks about, or she talks about, well, what happened that day, and then from her perspective of how it was when her husband went through this terrible tragedy and how it happened. But you see, it doesn't stop there. It gets going in even better. I love Chad's quote here in chapter 4. When a broken bone heals, it's stronger in that place than it was before the break. It's the same with mental or emotional injury and healing. You can become stronger than before the injury. That is the beauty of healing. That is the gift of injury. Chad Hymas knows what he's talking about. This is a book you really want to get and read. It's so inexpensive. It's incredible. And it'll be something that can help you a lot. But I want to go through here and show you a few quotes that I found particularly good here, where his mother wrote one of the chapters also. And she talks about, on the other hand, those of us who really know God are not surprised by his success as a speaker. She's talking about Chad, her son. It isn't just the way he speaks. It's his constancy in taking care of business. It's his daily doing that gets things done. It may be subtle, but it's thematic in his message to corporate America. Do is the operational word in done. And that is the message of doing what must be done. You've got to get out there and actually do it. Sometimes we go, I don't want to. Reading Chad's book is going to be that catalyst, that fire under your feet to get it done. Well, let me skip forward here to a couple of other things. Here's a quote that I thought was also very good. Accept responsibility regardless of fault, then do what needs to be done. And notice how he does this. D-O capitalized in the word done. It is your key to survival and success. This is important. You got to get out there and do it. Just thinking about it and just planning it, that's not going to make life happen for you as you go. And you'll see that he's got a lot of quotes from other people here. He tells the story that you really got to read. We don't have time to go through into it all right now, but it's very important. But I love this here in chapter 10, his tenacity. He says, Winston Churchill insisted that the key to success is to simply never give up. If that is true, I must be a failure. I do give up. I get tired. I get discouraged, and I quit. I quit a lot. Sometimes I quit once or twice a day. However, I don't stay quit. That's what is important. My family doesn't quit on me either. They are dedicated to my recovery. Shondell is here with me every day. all day long, 6 days a week, and she takes Sunday off to be with our kids and attend church, her church duties. And, he talks about the reality of it. It's one thing that I love about this. It's not just, oh, I had a tragedy, but I came back and you can too. Those kind of stories are out there. This is not that way. Chad gets really gutsy honest of what he goes through and what his family has gone through in this. And it's so honest that you need to understand that this can happen to any of us. Things can happen in a moment's notice, in a split second. That's what happened to him. And he shows how he's turned it around. And it's tenacity, staying with it, that makes it work and makes it all come out just right. Throughout the rest of the book, he shares these ideas, and he talks about his angel, Shondell, his wife. I love this quote here in chapter 13. I married an angel. On our wedding day, my father says to me, Chad, you don't deserve this girl. I know, Dad, but neither does anyone else, so it might as well be me. I love it. And he shares about her and her persistence and the things that you would think about that can be very tough when you have a husband who becomes a quadriplegic suddenly and you have 2 children, the kind of nitty-gritty tough times. And this is something that's educational, not only inspirational, but this book gives you the nuts, bolts, and wiggle pins of how to do it to make things work in life. As I go through the rest of the book and I see the kinds of things he said, I thought it was particularly profound here. I'm going to bounce back here on this one. Chapter 16, Getting into Guinness, where he entered the Guinness Book of World Records for going on a wheelchair for a distance. He went from Salt Lake City to Las Vegas. And he talks about how it got started. It was good, but then the pain and the agony of going through it. Hey, that'd be a tough race for all of us. For me, I know it'd be tough just walking it. He was on a wheelchair and did it. And then at the end here, he says a cheer goes up from thousands of people I have never met. A weep and grin as I realize the value of the lesson just handed me. It's not just about support, which is what I was blessed in abundance. It's not just about preparation and planning, which is important. It's not just counting breaths to survive, counting stripes to progress, and doing the small things to get the big thing done. There's that done again there. It's more than that. When you decide, listen to this, when you decide what you're going to do and give all you've got, really give it all, right down to the soles of your numb and blistered feet, you may get a push from Providence and get all you desire. You maybe even get into Guinness. And Chad, I salute you, my brother, for what you've done there, getting into Guinness. Now, I often think of Guinness in another way, something to drink. But Guinness Book of World Records is what he did, and he did it very well. Yes, this is a book that you want to get into and look at. Chapter 19, Life Isn't Fair. It just is fairly wonderful. And he talks about what to do and how to make that happen. And he relates a story here of 2 other people. One, a quadriplegic that both Chad and I knew, Art Berg, a dear, dear friend who was a paraplegic, also suffered a terrible tragedy, and he went through. Art is no longer with us, but Chad is continuing in his message. And then Chad also talks about Christopher Reeve and what he went through. Although he never met Christopher Reeve, we can relate to the story and we can kind of get to know people by the message that they left behind. And that's the important thing in this book. What message are you going to leave behind for your life? This is an important chapter, and I encourage you to get that book and to read this as well. He talks about many other things here. Oh, I like this here when he says, what happens when a procrastinator has a great idea? Nothing. Action and procrastination cannot exist in the same space. If I'm going to get something done, I better just do it, right? Very good. Well, this is a book I could go on and share the whole thing with you. I'd love to do that, but you got to buy the thing. It's really good. I bought it myself, and I have it here right on Amazon. So he says, remember the root word in doing is done and do. So do it. Every day without fear, without faltering, and without fail. Know in your heart that when you do the little things, you will get the big things done. The book is one that you want to read. Doing What Must Be Done by Chad Hymas. He is a member of the Speaker Hall of Fame. He's a certified speaking professional. He speaks to thousands and thousands of people every year around the country and the world. He's backed up with an incredible team called his family and dear friends. I count him as one of my friends, and I hope you can too by getting this book, understanding what he has gone through and where he's coming from. It'll benefit you in many, many ways. I'm Terry Brock. Thank you very much for joining me.